Welcome back to DaBoot Tragedies, man. Today we're gonna go over some winners and some losers after the draft. Basically, guys on the team, guys in the organization. Basically, who turned out good after the draft. Some guys that were unlucky because some of the people we drafted and things like that. And we'll start with the losers. First up on the losers list, it's only two losers on the list, just because I think the Saints roster was pretty set. Most of us already knew that the roster was pretty set. But Bradley Roby, man, I'm going to call him a loser in this situation just because taking that pay cut, restructuring his deal, coming back to the Saints, looking like he was going to be that number 4 corner behind Lattimore, Adebo, Gardner Johnson. Maybe that doesn't look so bright now. Just because we drafted Alontae Taylor in the 2nd round, that's a high price to pay for a cornerback. Obviously, the Saints, felt good about him in that 2nd round. In a 2nd round pick, you want to see a 2nd round pick on the field, man. You don't want to see a 2nd round pick as the 5th, 6th guy on the bench. So I think Roby is going to lose in that situation. He may get passed up on the depth chart, throughout the year for him. So I think he was a loser in this situation. Next up on the list, man, the number 1 guy on the list, like I said, it's only a 2-man list, Trequan Smith. He's just a loser in this entire situation just because I believe that Marquez Callaway will beat him out for that number 3 role. And honestly, if we have Callaway, Chris Olave, and Michael Thomas, I don't see a need for Trequan Smith to be in that number 4 role. I think that just should go to Deontay Hardy. We're going to need another guy to stretch that field opposite of Chris Olave. So, get Deontay Hardy out there on the field with Michael Thomas, with Marquez Callaway. I think that would be a nice group of 4. We may still look to add in free agency, but I think those 4 guys are going to be the guys. Obviously, Jarvis Landry came up in talks. Nothing came from that. But if he signs, then you can really put Trequan Smith in the loser bracket because He signed with the Saints. I'm not sure what his free agent market was, but he did come, sign with the Saints on basically a 1-year deal. I think like $3 million guaranteed. So obviously, he wanted to come back. He wanted to give it another go. But I think drafting a receiver, I think Callaway's just better, and I think it just makes more sense playing Hardy. I don't really think they have a roster, spot for him. Well, it's a roster spot for him. I just don't think it'll be playing time for him on this roster this upcoming season. And in all reality, you don't know, man. Trequan Smith could beat Marquez Callaway out. He could change his career around. He could be the number 3 receiver for the Saints. I don't see that happening. Roby could also beat out Alontae Taylor, man, and have the Saints force him to play. If your player is good enough, you'll be on the field. So, man, those are the 2 guys I think, took the biggest hit after the draft. And now on to my winners, man. I think these guys are going to be winners. After the draft, post-draft, these guys just turned out the best in the best situations on the roster. And I'll do 5 guys, man. And at number 5, I'm going to go Marquez Callaway. Basically, for all the reasons I mentioned, Trequan Smith being a loser, I think it's the reason why Marquez Callaway is a winner. Obviously, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave will be number 1 and number 2 receivers. That leaves Marquez Callaway as the number 3 guy. Obviously, this past season, he had to play as the number 1 receiver. It didn't work out well for him. He had a good year. For an undrafted free agent guy, he had a real good year. I thought he was going to have a bigger year. Preseason, he showed a lot of promise with that chemistry with Jameis Winston. Obviously, wasn't his fault. Winston went down. Taysom Hill had to play quarterback for a little bit. Trevor Siemian had to play quarterback for a little bit. And also, Ian Book got in 1 game. Also, Trequan Smith was hurt. So, we really didn't have good receivers this year. We had Kenny Stills out there just running around in circles. And it was just a bad product, from an NFL standpoint with the receivers we had on the field last year for the Saints. So, coming into this year, Callaway being a number 3 option, man, he's going to get some nickel corners, some number 3 guys on the depth chart, number 4 guys on the depth chart. He may even see a safety or 2. So he's going to have an excellent year, in my opinion. So I think he's won a lot after this draft, man. Just getting a couple guys in front of him on the depth chart where he's not going to be asked to be the guy, just play his role. I think he could give you the same production he did this past season as a number 3 receiver, which would be an absolute beast as a number 3 receiver. So I do think he won in this situation. Number 4, Taysom Hill. Dennis Allen came out in the summer a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. I don't know when it was, but he did say Taysom Hill was going to be a full-time tight end. The quarterback role is basically dead for him. That's out of the question. Obviously, Jameis Winston is the guy. So for Taysom, he made that switch to tight end. full time, and we didn't draft a tight end. Tight end was a position of need, and if we drafted a tight end, early in the draft, first or second round, then Taysom, his stock would have took a hit, because now you're bringing in a guy that's been playing tight end full time probably all his life. Probably can block better than you and do some things at the tight end position better than you. That would have been a loss. But we didn't draft a tight end, which that gives me hope that Taysom's actually really, really good at tight end, and Dennis Allen and the staff know he's really good at tight end. They're gonna give him a chance to start in that role and be a good tight end in this league. Like I said, I think he can be a top 15, possibly top 10 tight end in this league, just because of athleticism, how hard he works, man. He's just a good football player. So I think he definitely won in this situation. Also at number 3, it's a tie. It's two guys here, two of the most hated on the Saints roster, Andres Pete, Cesar Ruiz. They're coming in number 3, man. Both guards will have something to prove this year. Ruiz coming off a very, very bad sophomore season. Pete's coming off a season-ending injury. The guard play for the Saints have been, let's put this nicely, piss poor. That's the nicest I can be. It's been very, very poor, man. And both guards, they get lucky. Obviously, we had Doc Morton play last year at guard. Will Clapp, who left, played some at guard last year. But these guys are going to come back. They're going to have their starting jobs, and they're going to have to compete. We didn't draft a guard. Guard was also a position of need that we did not draft. We got some undrafted guys, in free agency, but won't be anyone to threaten their starting spot. So basically, they're coming into camp. They're going to be the guys. They're going to be starting, and they're big winners out of this, because both of those guys were possibly, replacement options. It seems like they survived, a draft, another offseason, another free agency. It's not over yet, but it seems like those guys have survived and look like they'll be on their way to, starting for the Saints again. Hopefully they can improve. I won't go into too much detail on about, those guys and how bad they played and what they can improve on. I'll probably do that later this summer. But those guys are winners out of this, because we did not draft a guard, which I thought we were actually going to draft a guard, but that didn't happen. Number 2 on the list, not a player, actually a coach. Pete Carmichael is a big winner after this draft. Obviously, he got Jameis Winston back to start the all season, so that's already a good step in the right direction. He's probably going to have a healthy Michael Thomas. For this offense that we didn't have last year. Alvin Kamara's probably going to be suspended, but he'll be back. And we can survive without him. Obviously, he's a big part of the offense, but hopefully it's not, too long. Hopefully it's 2 to 4 games, but knowing the NFL, it's probably going to be 6, so we're definitely going to have to make up the slack right there. But, man, drafting Trevor Penning, you get a left tackle right in after Armstead leaves. You also get Chris Olave, obviously, another first-round pick. You pair him with Michael Thomas. Now you have a formidable duo at receiver, man. After last year, didn't have a duo to save our lives. It was Callaway and Hardy at times, and other than that, it's been pretty bad. You don't have to worry about the Taysom Hill packages. You don't really have to worry about Taysom Hill breathing down Jameis Winston's back. So it's not a quarterback battle. It's not a quarterback controversy, kind of like last offseason. They had a quarterback battle, hand quotations, in the offseason between Taysom and Jameis. You don't have to worry about that coming in, man. So you get basically a fresh slate with guys that's knowing their positions, knowing their roles. You're getting better receivers than last year. Offensive line, I won't say it's better, but it won't be as bad. Just because Armstead missed so much time last year, the offensive line probably can only get better just because of the injuries we had on it last year. So Carmichael, he's definitely a winner in this, just because, man, the offense is going to be much better than last year, excuse me. So I'm definitely excited to see what he does, man. It's going to be his first time being the head guy in charge, calling this offense. He can mix things up, man. He's got some pieces around him, obviously, at receiver, quarterback, running back will be back. Offensive line seems to be getting healthy, going in the right direction. Hopefully Penning's pretty good. I've liked everything I've seen from him so far. So Pete Carmichael, man, he's lucky, because if he had the same offense he had last year with Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill and Ian Book getting snaps, it was bad. It was pretty bad. I hate that Sean Payton had to go out like that, man. I definitely want to see a Winston Kamara MT offense with Sean Payton. Also throw Taysom Hill in there. We never got to see that. But Pete Carmichael, he should have all those guys and some more. So we'll see, what that does. He's a big winner, and he has something to prove this season. First time being an OC in this league for the Saints, so that'll be good. And number 1 on the list, it should almost be obvious. If you just look at the winners on the list, you got Callaway, Taysom Hill, offensive line, offensive coordinator. That all adds up for one big winner. The biggest winner on the Saints roster is Jameis Winston. This is obvious, man. Jameis Winston, who was having a pretty solid year before he got hurt last year. Passing yards were down, but touchdowns were up. Interceptions were down. That is great. Things we're going to need to work on, getting that completion percentage up. I think that'll come just building chemistry with these receivers. Hopefully we can get to training camp, and get that done right away with Michael Thomas, Chris, Callaway, even Trequan, Hardy, all of the guys on the roster, man. So Winston's going to be a big winner. Offensive line should be better. We had a depleted offensive line last year. It was pretty terrible. And hopefully, man, Carmichael takes the training wheels off him. Sean Payton was taking it slow. Had to build some things. Had to gain Jameis Winston trust, obviously, because coming from Tampa, he was interception prone, turnover prone. He had to work on those things. Sean Payton really helped him out with that. I think this year, take the training wheels off, let him fly or let him sink, man. It's one of the things that's going to happen. You got to see what you have in this quarterback. You cannot baby him. It's not time to be, calling plays to protect your quarterback. Call every play in the playbook. And if he can't get it done, he just can't get it done. I don't think that'll be the case. I think he's a real good quarterback. Obviously, another reason why he's a winner, we didn't draft a quarterback, man. We moved up into the draft with 2 first-round picks. A lot of people started talking that quarterback nonsense. We didn't do it. Thankfully for Jameis Winston in his camp, we didn't do it. So he's the biggest winner out of this whole draft, whole free agency process, man. I think he'll have a great season. He's going to have weapons. He's going to have a decent offensive line, a new OC, but kind of the same. It'll be the same principles as the Sean Payton offense. Doesn't have Taysom Hill breathing down his back. Won't have to worry about Taysom Hill taking 15 snaps away from him a game. So he's the biggest winner in this, man. And if I miss somebody, let me know, man. If it's some losers on the roster that y'all, thought of that I didn't, let me know. If there's some more winners on the roster, let me know as well. I do think one winner, he's kind of honorable mention, would be Mark Ingram. We didn't draft a running back, so obviously he's probably going to start the season at running back just because Kamara's probably going to be suspended. So you could definitely throw him in the winner's circle as well. But anybody else, man, y'all can think of, let me know in the comments below. We finna move on to these Pels, kind of wrap up their season. Before we move on to the Pelicans, man, I do want to say that I've been seeing the comments, on the channel under some videos. A lot of people saying they can only hear out of the right ear. So I went in, played with the settings, man. If you can hear out of both ears now, just let me know in the comments. I do be reading them. Can't respond to everyone. I be busy. I be so caught up in, making these videos and getting these videos out that sometimes I forget to comment on these things. But I do read most of them, and I will be back in the comments. I just kind of do them all at once and knock it out just because it's so many of them. And I appreciate each and every last one of them, man. I do read all of them, the long ones, the short ones, the funny ones, the ones that's cussing me out and telling me I have a Dollar General mic. Hey, it's all fun. Keep them coming. Jumping into these Pelicans, man, what a season. What a season. Hate that it ended that way, but man, you gotta be proud of those guys, man. Those guys fought from game 1, man, from going 1-12 the first 13 games to fighting to get into the play-in. Honestly, being out of the play-in, but then getting hot. Injuries all season long, man. Those guys fought to the end. They made the playoffs, made it a very interesting series. Took the #1 team, basically the best, not even basically, the best team in the regular season by a good mile. Took them to 6 games in the playoffs, man. And to be honest, if it wasn't for Chris Paul, they win that series. Chris Paul just turned into prime Chris Paul, man. And it's nothing you can do about it. That man was amazing at that age. What he's doing, it's not talked about enough, man. And obviously, hey, Chris Paul's, he's a dirty player. He's this, he's that, he's feisty, he's all that. But at the end of the day, once the series over, man, it's all love for me. He's the former New Orleans Hornet, Pelican, whatever you want to call it. Still got love for Chris Paul, man. If somebody can do it, hey, why not be Chris Paul? Hopefully he can get a ring this year. But back to them Pelicans, man. What a season. Brandon Ingram, I think he took another leap this year. Finally getting some playoff experience. That's going to be good for him down the line, man. That kid's still only 24 years old. Still young. Still is going to improve. Still is going to be an all-star every year, all-NBA type of guy. Looking forward to seeing him, man. CJ McCullum, even though he didn't have the best of series, in my opinion, he still played well, in moments. He's going to have a full summer under his belt, man. He's going to have to be the leader for this team, and I think it's going to help him next year when Zion's back. He's going to go to that third option. I think that's going to be better suited for him at this point in his career. I just don't think he's good enough to be a #2 guy on a championship contending team. And if the Pelicans want to contend for a championship, Brandon Ingram's going to have to be at an all-NBA level. Zion Williams going to have to be at an all-NBA level. Then you're going to need an all-star level player, which was CJ McCullum, and basically another all-star level to really, really good player was going to be Valanciunas, with some role players around it, which we have in Alvarado, Jackson Hayes, Herb Jones, Devontae Graham. So it's guys. Kyra Lewis is going to be coming back. So, man, this team is stacked. It's loaded with talent. It's going to have a top 10 pick, hopefully I think a top 5 pick from the Lakers. So, man, we'll see. We'll see how it pans out, but a super, super good season from them. Excited for the future of the Pelicans organization. It's finally looking like they're trending in the right direction. And obviously the big news of Zion, that kind of came out where he said he's willing to sign a rookie extension with the Pelicans, man. And I know he's only played basically 1 full season in 3 years, but you can't have a guy like Zion Williamson and don't offer him an extension. So you have to do that. If he's willing to sign it, hey, call him out on his bluff. Offer him the extension. Make him sign it, have some things in there where he has to play a certain amount of games due to injury, if that's the case. And let's just get this show on the road, man. Hopefully everybody comes in healthy next season. Them guys all need to get their chemistry, get the plan together, and I think they can make a real run at it next year. And I'm not just saying it as a homer. That's non-biased. I think they really, really have the pieces in place to make a run at a championship next year if everybody's healthy and if everything's clicking on all cylinders. And I can't finish this without saying, man, shout out to Willie Green, man. I think the Pels have found himself the coach of the future. He's going to be, I think he can be one of them guys like I'm not going to say like Popovich or Phil Jackson or anything like that, but one of these guys that can have a 10-plus year, 15, 20-plus year, with the same team, man. The fans embraced him. The players embraced him. The city embraced him. I embraced him. He's going to be a really, really good coach. He's only 40 years old, so he's real young, in coach years. So he can do this for a long time, man. He was passionate. The tears after the series, I like all of that from my coach, man. Someone that cares, someone that's done it, someone that's been there before. I really, really like what I've seen from Willie Green this year, man. Hopefully he can be the Pelicans coach for the next 10, 15 years. I think he's going to be that special of a coach. He has the talent around him to keep him, got to win. You got to win to coach that long. He has the talent on the team, to get a lot of wins under his belt. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I do like the direction the Pelicans is going in. They're just one good summer away, this summer from putting it all together and making a run at things next season. I would have LSU news, but nothing to talk about with LSU, man. Track, y'all know I'm a big track fan. Track SECs is coming up, regionals and NCs. LSU are the defending national champions in track and field. So we'll see what that, does. LSU baseball is getting hot. Football, they had their spring game. I still didn't watch that game. I'm honestly not a super big spring football guy when they do the spring games in colleges. I don't care about football being played in April. That's college football. That does nothing for me. A lot of people have been asking me, am I going to cover the USFL, the New Orleans Breakers, I believe? Probably not, to be honest, not into full detail. Maybe when once this draft stuff dies down, once the Saints news kind of go quiet on the free agent front, maybe I'll look into it. But as of now, I don't have plans on doing it. I've been watching kind of here and there, following things on Twitter and online, but not really super into it. Maybe I'll get into it, like I said, once this Saints stuff die down. But at the moment, I'm not really into it like that. And, man, shout out to y'all, man. I definitely got to shout out to y'all, man. Hit over, I think 3,300 subscribers are right at it already. That's super amazing, man. I started this April 15th last year, so it's been a year. Over 3,000 subs, man. All of y'all are interactive. I definitely see the badges for the people that's been here basically the full time for a year. I appreciate y'all, man. All the comments, all the love y'all are showing, all the likes. Keep it up, man. I'm just grinding. I'm knocking these videos out for y'all, and we're one big family over here. And I do, what? I do got to answer this question. Somebody asked me, why is it called DaBoot Tragedies? Why is the name of this channel called DaBoot Tragedies? I mean, you tell me. Have you watched the Saints the last 10 years? Have you watched the Pelicans at all? Have you watched LSU at all? It's nothing but tragedies all around, man. From the missed call from the Rams to Marcus Williams' missed tackle. A little further back when we had the flea flickers, and I believe it was Jerome Payton that scored and John Corney missed the field goal. To us wearing bags. It's a tragedy. It's a beautiful tragedy because I love my teams. I love sports. I love, everything about New Orleans and the sports in it. But it's a tragedy. It's a beautiful tragedy, man. That's why it's called DaBoot Tragedies. Obviously, the boot should be self-explanatory. But I get why you wouldn't understand, the tragedy sport. But, yeah, it's a tragedy out here, man. We all like to watch the tragedy. You know what? They always said you can't look away from a car wreck. That's what this is. Because we are a car wreck. It's a beautiful car wreck, though, man. And we're a tragedy, obviously. I wish that's not the case. I wish we can just win Super Bowls and championships every year, but that won't happen, man. And I can ramble on for days and days on how much, why this is a tragedy. From Andres P getting Drew Brees hurt, from Drew Brees' last pass as a Saint being an interception, the Saints having the most wins in the last 5 years with no Super Bowls to show for it, not even an appearance. It's so many things. I can go on and 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 on why this is a tragedy. But you kind of get the picture. But that's why I named it DaBoot Tragedies, man. I literally named it after so I made this channel a year ago. Basically right after that Bucks game, I was like, man, this is a tragedy, and that's kind of how the name came into my head. Made the channel. People was asking me to make a YouTube channel for the longest. I did that, but man, I'm gonna wrap this up. Don't want to make this one too long. I'm usually gonna try to keep these, between 30 and 40 minutes. This one's gonna be a little shorter just because I've been knocking out videos left and right, man. Hope y'all liking all the game film breakdowns. I'm gonna do some more undrafted free agents. I got a running back coming up from Baylor. I don't know why his name is not coming in my head. Ingram or something like that. He was a linebacker, now a running back from Baylor. We signed him undrafted free agent. His highlights were real good. Trying to find some game film on him. I'm gonna drop that probably today, Monday as well. But we'll see, man. But thank y'all for tuning in once again. And as always, this DaBoot Tragedies, and I'm out.